First Contact Fallacy Admiral Vex stood on the command deck of the Dominion, the flagship of the Draconian Armada. His tall, slender frame was silhouetted against the main view screen, which displayed a small blue-green planet hanging in the void. His four eyes narrowed as he studied the third world from this unremarkable yellow star. "Status report," he demanded, his translator converting his natural clicking speech into something his multi-species crew could understand. Lieutenant Mara approached, her scaled skin reflecting the blue light of her data tablet. "Preliminary. Scans confirm our intelligence, Admiral. The species calls themselves humans. They've achieved basic spaceflight but haven't expanded beyond their own moon. Their orbital infrastructure is minimal: communication satellites, a small research station, and significant debris. Weapons technology relies primarily on chemical propellants and nuclear fission." Vex's mouth parts twitched in what passed for a smile among his kind. Primitive indeed. Another easy acquisition for the Thasian collective. The Thasians had conquered 17 systems in the past decade alone. Their method was always the same: identify developing worlds with resources but limited defensive capabilities, overwhelm them quickly, and integrate the population into the labor force. Earth had been identified by their long-range scouts as an ideal target. A resource-rich world with apparently limited technological development. "Prepare the scout vessels," Vex ordered. "Standard approach pattern. Let's see how they respond." As 12 sleek scout ships detached from the main fleet and accelerated toward Earth, Vex settled into his command chair. This would be routine. By this time tomorrow, the humans would understand their new place in the universe. 200 miles. Beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Elena Reyes watched the approaching alien vessels on a holographic display. The underwater command center hummed with activity as military personnel and scientists monitored screens and readouts. Despite the gravity of the situation, Elena maintained a calm demeanor that had made her one of Earth's top defense strategists. "They're following exactly the trajectory we predicted," she noted to General Okafor, who stood beside her. 12 scout vessels. Standard reconnaissance formation." The general nodded. "Looks like our intel was correct. The Thasians always use the same playbook. They think we're easy prey." For decades, Earth had maintained a carefully cultivated facade of technological mediocrity. After detecting signals from the Thasian collective 80 years earlier, Earth's nations had secretly united under the Silence Protocol, a strategy to appear less advanced than they actually were while building hidden defenses. "Are the Guardian arrays in position?" Elena asked. Lieutenant Commander Zhang nodded from his station. "All 6 orbital platforms are aligned and ready. Ground-based EMD networks are charged at 100%. The atmospheric disruptors are standing by." Elena tapped her earpiece. "All stations, this is Control. Maintain observation only. Let them enter the first defense sphere before we respond. Remember, we need to capture at least one vessel intact." Around the world, in similar hidden facilities, teams of specialists monitored the approaching threat. What appeared to the aliens as a disorganized, fractured planet with primitive defenses was actually a unified world with carefully concealed technological capabilities. On the Dominion, Admiral Vex received the first transmissions from the scout vessels. "Entering the planet's upper atmosphere," reported Scout Leader Krell. "Detecting some primitive radar activity. Their military forces appear to be scrambling aircraft, but nothing that poses a threat. Weapon systems are charged but inactive as ordered." "Good," Vex replied. "Maintain formation and continue descent. Let them see our ships clearly. I want them to understand the futility of resistance." The scout ships sliced through Earth's atmosphere, their hulls glowing briefly as they decelerated. Below them, human aircraft rose to meet them, outdated jet fighters with visible weapons pods. "They're sending their defenders," Krell noted with amusement. "Simple combustion engines, no energy shielding. Their weapons appear to be missile-based." "Allow them to approach," Vex commanded. "Let them fire a few shots. When they see their weapons can't penetrate our shields, they'll understand their position." In the underwater command center, Elena watched the engagement unfold. The jets rising to meet the alien vessels weren't what they appeared to be. "Are the decoys transmitting properly?" she asked. Yes, Doctor, replied the communications officer. The quantum projectors are creating perfect heat and radar signatures of F-35s. The aliens are reading them exactly as we intended. Elena nodded. Execute Guardian Phase 1 on my mark. She waited until the scout ships had descended to precisely 30,000 feet. Mark. In orbit, 6 satellites that had appeared to be ordinary communications platforms suddenly realigned their positions. Invisible to conventional detection, quantum filaments extended between them, creating a mesh network around the planet. Within seconds, the network activated. On the lead scout ship, Krell felt a sudden sense of unease. Something's wrong, he reported to Admiral Vex. Our sensors are detecting anomalies in the... His transmission cut off abruptly. Scout leader. Krell report, Vex demanded. There was no response. On all 12 scout ships, systems began failing simultaneously. Navigation, weapons, communications, everything went dark. The ships hung motionless in the air for a moment before gravity took hold, and they began plummeting toward Earth. What's happening? Vex roared, watching the feeds from his scout ships go dark one by one. His science officer worked frantically at her console. Unknown, Admiral. It appears to be some kind of targeted energy disruption, but nothing we've encountered before. It's completely disabled our scout systems. In the command center, Elena allowed herself a small smile. Phase 1 successful. The quantum disruptors worked perfectly. Prepare recovery teams for capture and containment. Around the world, specialized teams launched from hidden bases. What appeared to be ordinary cargo aircraft and naval vessels converged on the falling scout ships. Invisible tractor beams activated, slowing the aliens' descent. Within minutes, all 12 vessels had been secured and were being transported to containment facilities. On the Dominion, Admiral Vex seethed with rage. How is this possible? Their technology should be centuries behind ours. His tactical officer looked up from her console, her expression grave. Sir, we've been deceived. The humans must have been concealing their true capabilities. Launch the primary attack fleet, Vex ordered. All vessels, full weapons complement. Target their major population centers. As 60 larger warships detached from the Thasian fleet and accelerated toward Earth, Elena and her team prepared for the next phase. They've taken the bait, General Okafor noted. Admiral Vex is responding exactly as predicted. He's committing his main forces. Activate the nanite cloud, Elena ordered, and prepare the kinetic interceptors. High above Earth, millions of microscopic robots that had been disguised as ordinary space debris suddenly activated. These nanites had been seeded throughout Earth's orbit over decades, appearing to be nothing more than the remnants of old satellites and rocket stages. As the Thasian warships approached Earth's atmosphere, the nanites swarmed toward them, attaching to their hulls. The tiny machines began burrowing through the alien alloys, seeking critical systems. On the Dominion, alarms blared. Admiral, shouted the tactical officer, our attack fleet is reporting system failures across all vessels. Something is penetrating their hulls. Vex slammed his fist on his command console. Impossible. Nothing could breach our shields. The shields aren't stopping it, his science officer replied, her voice tight with fear. Whatever technology they're using, it's like nothing in our database. On 53 of the 60 attacking ships, systems failed catastrophically. Engines died, weapons went offline, and life support began to falter. The remaining 7 ships managed to activate emergency countermeasures, creating energy pulses that destroyed the nanites attacking them. Break off the attack, Vex ordered. All surviving vessels return to the fleet immediately. In the command center, Elena watched as the 7 ships turned and began accelerating away from Earth. They're retreating, she noted. Just as expected, Admiral Vex won't commit his entire fleet until he understands what he's facing. Should we pursue? Asked General Okafor. Elena shook her head. No, let them return. It's time for Phase 3. She tapped her earpiece. Initiate the conversation protocol. As the surviving Thasian ships rejoined their fleet, Admiral Vex was frantically reviewing what little data they had managed to gather. His empire had conquered countless worlds, yet none had presented defenses like Earth's. "Admiral," called his communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet. It's being broadcast on all our frequencies simultaneously." Vex straightened. "How could they know our communication protocols?" "Put it on screen." The view screen flickered, and the image of Dr. Elena Reyes appeared. She sat calmly at a sleek desk, wearing a simple black uniform with no insignia. "Admiral Vex of the Thasian Collective," she began, speaking perfect Thasian language. "I am Dr. Elena Reyes, Defense Coordinator for Earth. I believe we should talk before you make any further mistakes." Vex's 4 eyes widened in shock. "How are you speaking our language? How do you know my name?" Elena smiled slightly. "We've been observing your empire for 80 of our years, Admiral. We know a great deal about the Thasians, your conquests, your technology, your tactics. We've had ample time to prepare for this meeting." "Impossible," Vex replied. "Our scouts only identified your world 5 years ago. Your scouts found exactly what we wanted them to find," Elena explained. "Earth has maintained what we call the Silence Protocol, a deliberate program of technological concealment. The primitive appearance of our world is by design." As she spoke, the view screen split to show images that stunned the Thasian commander. Massive underground cities, advanced spacecraft hidden beneath Earth's oceans, weapons platforms disguised as asteroids in the outer solar system. "This is merely a fraction of our true capabilities," Elena continued. "The nanite defense you just encountered was one of our simpler systems. We have others that are far more persuasive." Admiral Vex felt for the first time in his long military career a sensation he recognized as fear. The Silent Defenders Admiral. Vex gathered his command staff in the Dominion's war room. The holographic displays showed Earth rotating serenely, looking deceptively peaceful and primitive from a distance. "How did we miss this?" he demanded, pacing the length of the table. "Our intelligence indicated a fractured world with barely functional space capabilities." Chief Intelligence Officer Draz cleared her throat nervously. "Admiral, it appears the humans have been deliberately concealing their technology. They've maintained a planetary facade, showing us only what they wanted us to see." "Impossible," growled Commander Kell, head of the fleet's military operations. "No species would hamper their own development just to deceive potential threats they hadn't even met." "That's where you're wrong," Vex said quietly. "These humans think differently. They detected our communication signals decades ago and correctly identified us as a potential threat. Instead of announcing themselves to the galaxy or accelerating their visible technological development, they chose to hide their capabilities." He stopped pacing and stared at the holographic Earth. "It's brilliant, actually. They presented themselves as an easy target, knowing we would approach with minimal precautions." On the view screen, Dr. Elena Reyes waited patiently for the Thasians to continue their conversation. She had deliberately left the communication channel open, allowing them to hear everything being said. "You've been listening to our deliberations," Vex finally said, turning back to the screen. Elena nodded. "Of course. Your encryption methods are quite sophisticated, but we've had decades to study them." Vex narrowed his 4 eyes. "What do you want, human? If your technology is as advanced as you claim, you could have destroyed our fleet already." "Destruction isn't our goal, Admiral," Elena replied. "Earth has no interest in conflict with the Thasian Collective. We simply want to be left alone. Consider today a demonstration of our capabilities and our resolve." As they spoke, Earth's true defensive network continued its silent work. The nanites that had disabled the Thasian attack ships were now replicating, using materials harvested from the disabled vessels. Millions became billions, forming an almost invisible cloud that slowly expanded toward the main Thasian fleet. "We should retreat and return with our full armada," Commander Kell suggested quietly to Vex. 3,000 ships would overwhelm whatever defenses they have. Vex shook his head. "We don't know the extent of their capabilities. If they've concealed this much, what else might they be hiding?" On Earth, Elena and her team monitored the nanite cloud's progress. They're approaching optimal dispersal, reported Lieutenant Commander Zhang. Estimated time to full fleet coverage, 17 minutes. Elena nodded. Prepare the gravitational disruptors as backup. If Admiral Vex attempts to flee, I want his options limited. In the outer solar system, massive installations concealed within the moons of Jupiter powered up. These devices, built over decades in secret, were capable of creating localized distortions in space-time, effectively trapping the Thasian fleet if necessary. Aboard the Dominion, alarms suddenly blared. "Admiral," shouted the tactical officer, "we're detecting unusual energy readings throughout the fleet. Something is attaching to our hulls." Vex spun toward the view screen. "What have you done?" "Simply ensuring your complete attention," Elena replied calmly. "The nanites now covering. Your vessels are more sophisticated than those you encountered earlier. They've already integrated with your ship's systems and can disable them instantly on my command. Additionally, we've established gravitational anchor points throughout this sector. Your fleet isn't going anywhere without our permission." For a tense moment, Vex considered his options. The Thasian collective had never encountered a species with this level of technological sophistication, combined with such strategic foresight. "You said you want to be left alone," he finally said. "What are your terms?" Elena leaned forward slightly. "Recognition of Earth as a sovereign system with protected status. A formal non-aggression pact with the Thasian collective. And information, specifically, data on all spacefaring civilizations within 500 light-years of our system." Vex was surprised. "That's all? You don't demand reparations or technology transfer?" "We don't need your technology, Admiral," Elena said with a slight smile. "And as for reparations, consider the scout vessels we've captured as adequate compensation for your incursion." In the command center, General Okafor whispered to Elena, "We're detecting energy buildups in their secondary fleet. They may be preparing to sacrifice their main force and attack with reserve vessels." Elena nodded almost imperceptibly, then addressed Vex again. "Admiral, please inform your secondary fleet commander that activating weapons would be unwise. The Cerritos and Volmar ships are particularly vulnerable to our defenses." Vex couldn't hide his shock. The human knew the names of his reserve vessels, ships, that had remained at the edge of the solar system, theoretically undetected. "How did you—" "We've been watching you since you entered the Oort cloud, Admiral," Elena interrupted. "Nothing in this system escapes our attention." With growing unease, Vex realized that Earth was far more dangerous than anyone in the collective had imagined. If humans could conceal this level of technology, what else might they be capable of? He made his decision. "I will agree to your terms pending approval from the Collective Council, but I must ask, why hide yourselves? With your technology, you could have established a significant presence in the galaxy." Elena's expression grew serious. "We've observed how the galaxy treats newcomers, Admiral. The Thasian collective isn't the only expansionist power we've monitored. Earth chose a different path, to develop in silence, to build our strength without attracting attention." She leaned forward. "We call it the Silence Protocol. For 3 generations we've maintained a planetary consensus to conceal our true capabilities. Every nation, every citizen understands the importance of this deception. We show the stars only what we wish them to see." Vex nodded slowly, a new respect forming for these unexpectedly dangerous humans. A planetary-scale deception maintained, for generations, impressive. But surely it hampers your development. "On the contrary," Elena replied. "It forces us to be creative, to find solutions that don't reveal our capabilities. Every technology we develop must function on 2 levels, what we show the universe and what we keep hidden." She gestured, and the view screen expanded to show massive underwater cities, orbital habitats concealed within asteroids, and energy production facilities hidden beneath Earth's surface. "Our population is 3 times what your scans detected. Our energy production is 50 times greater. And our defensive capabilities—" She paused. "Well, you've experienced only a fraction of those." As they spoke, the nanite cloud finished enveloping the entire Thasian fleet. Every ship, from the mighty Dominion to the smallest support vessel, was now completely at Earth's mercy. Your vessels will be released once we've established formal agreements, Elena continued. We'll allow you to depart with one scout ship, intact, enough to verify your encounter and deliver our message to your collective council. She leaned back in her chair. But understand this, Admiral. Earth will remain vigilant. Any future approach to our system will be met with the full extent of our capabilities. Today was merely a demonstration. Admiral Vex straightened his tall frame. Despite the humiliation of defeat, he found himself impressed by the humans' strategy. They had outthought the collective at every turn. I will convey your terms, he said finally. And I will recommend that the collective respect Earth's autonomy. Elena nodded. A wise decision, Admiral. Now let's discuss the details of your fleet's departure. As negotiations proceeded, General Okafor approached Elena's side. Do you think they'll honor the agreement? He asked quietly. Elena's eyes remained fixed on the alien commander. They will. Admiral Vex is pragmatic. The Thasians conquer because it's efficient, not because they're driven by ideology. We've proven ourselves too costly a target. She turned to face the general, speaking softly so the open channel wouldn't transmit her words. Besides, we've already deployed Phase 4. Every ship in their fleet now carries dormant nanites that will report their movements for years to come. If they ever consider returning, we'll know long before they arrive. 6 hours later, the Thasian fleet departed Earth's solar system. As promised, Elena allowed them to keep one scout ship intact, complete with recordings of their encounter. The remaining disabled vessels were towed to Earth's hidden shipyards for study. In the Great Hall of the Thasian Collective Council, Admiral Vex presented his report. The chamber fell silent as the recordings played, showing Earth's hidden defenses and the ease with which they had neutralized the fleet. In light of these developments, Vex concluded, I formally recommend that Earth be classified as a sovereign protected system and placed on the restricted approach registry. The council head's upper eyes blinked slowly. You believe these humans are that dangerous? Vex considered his answer carefully. I believe they are that patient, council head. They concealed their true nature for nearly a century, developing in silence while watching the galaxy around them. Who knows what other capabilities they've hidden? Who knows how many other seemingly primitive worlds might be following Earth's example? As the council deliberated, far across the galaxy, Dr. Elena Reyes stood in Earth's orbital command station watching the stars. The silence protocol had passed its first major test. Humanity had successfully defended itself without revealing the full extent of its capabilities. Message from Central Command, announced her aide. The tracking nanites confirm the Thasian fleet is continuing on course away from our system. Elena nodded. Good. And the Council? They've voted to classify Earth as a sovereign protected system, as expected. Elena smiled slightly. Then our strategy worked. We've bought ourselves time to continue developing, watching, and waiting. She turned from the viewport. Activate Phase 5 of the protocol. It's time to extend our observation network further into the galaxy. If the Thasians found us, others will eventually follow. As she spoke, hidden facilities around Earth and throughout the solar system hummed with activity. The silence protocol continued, and humanity's true power remained concealed behind a carefully maintained facade of primitive technology, a deadly deception that had proven its worth. The stars held many dangers, but Earth had chosen its path. In silence and secrecy, humanity would secure its future among the stars.